Nobody wants to tear a hamstring. By the end of today's video, you're going to know the most important exercises for strengthening with the eccentric and concentric loading and lengthen the muscles. Additionally, we'll briefly cover the anatomy and physiology of a hamstring strain. We're going to be starting with the Romanian or the straight leg deadlift. This exercise is really important for the eccentric load, so how well your hamstrings are lengthening with force applied to them. To do this exercise well, you really want to emphasize the hip hinge, so how well your butt sticks back while you feel the stretch into your hamstrings. You want to keep the weight close to the center of your body. Knees are not locked, they're just unlocked. As you lower the weight down, you should not be bending your knees more. This is more of a squatting motion or a deadlifting motion. You're just going to unlock the knees and then stick your butt back until you feel the hamstring stretch. Once you feel the hamstring stretch, that's as far down as you go. You want to be trying to aim to have a 3 to 4 count lowering phase and then drive the hips through coming up for the concentric phase. The lowering phase is where the prevention of the hamstring tears come in, because we're really teaching those hamstrings to lengthen and adapt to forces while they're being pulled against. Once the RDLs start to feel comfortable and you're mastering that hip hinge, we can progress to what's called a B stance RDL. The B stance is a halfway between single leg and both legs working. To set up a B stance, you're going to pick your working leg, and that leg is going to be flat. Your supporting leg is just going to be on the toes in line with the heel of the working leg. Now my right is the working leg and my left is the supporting leg, so I'm shifting my body weight to the right side. Then what I'm doing is I'm sticking my butt back with that slight unlock on the knee, feeling the stretch down my right hamstring, and then coming up. I shouldn't be feeling the stretch on the left side because the left knee is more bent. I'm really trying to target the one side. This is really helpful because if you can isolate one side at a time, you can really build that single leg strength and progress to single leg RDLs, which is more related to when we do our sports and activities where one hamstring is working at a time to really flush out any differences between left and right sides. Now you can do this holding a number of different weights. You can even hold the barbell. If you're holding a kettlebell, you can hold one on either side or one on the opposite side. The most important thing is that you're picking a weight that allows enough load and enough work while you're doing your sets and reps. When you start to feel confident with your B stance and your RDL, you can progress to a single leg hip hinge or a single leg RDL. This is really good because then you really start to work your left to right side. The most important thing for this exercise is that when you're coming down, you're keeping your hips square and really trying to still hinge. So I'm still thinking like I'm pushing my legs back. I'm not twisting to the side and I'm not dropping the hips either way. I'm keeping them nice and square. My knee is unlocked and I'm pushing my butt back until I feel that stretch. This is a great one to also work your balance and proprioception. The back leg or the leg that's not working, it can kick straight back. It can be a little bit bent. It doesn't really matter because you're just trying to keep your balance and target the stance leg. For those eccentric hamstring loading exercises, you want to be doing 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. You want to be working at a hard intensity and doing this at least 2 times per week. Your hamstring is 3 muscles. On the outside of the back of your thigh, you have your biceps femoris. On the inside, you have your semimembranosus and your semitendinosus. These attach on the ischial tuberosity of your hip bone down and across the knee joint. So these muscles are responsible for hip extension and knee flexion, so bending your knee and extending your hips. Due to the function of these muscles, when people are sprinting or doing plyometrics and running and playing sports, when the quads contract and go to straighten the knee and drive your hips, that pulls on the hamstring and causes them to have to resist the force. That's why the eccentric loading is so important, because they have to help control the quads to make a functional movement. When the force is too great, the hamstrings will tear either at the ischial tuberosity, so at the tendon called a proximal hamstring strain, or in the muscle belly, calling a mid-belly hamstring tear. When you're about to take off and sprint, what happens is the quad straightens the knee, which is the opposite of what the hamstring does. So the hamstring is then lengthening against the force of our quads, and that causes it to help control the movement. But when it's not strong enough, this can result in tearing. Leg curls on the exercise ball are one of my favorite movements to help strengthen the hamstrings for the concentric and eccentric phase. To set up this exercise well, you're going to have the exercise ball beneath the ankles. We'll have your hands flat at your side. Keep your core engaged and extend your hips up towards the ceiling. We'll be starting with a 2-foot variation. With your hands at your side, squeeze your hamstrings by pushing your heels into the ball and pull the ball towards your butt. Then slowly lower it out. It should take 1 to 2 seconds to pull the ball in, and then 3 to 4 seconds to lower it out. So you're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to be doing this for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. When you get stronger, you're going to want to progress to the single leg version. So now you're going to be extended and one leg is going to be working. At the top, or the straightened leg can just be relaxed, whatever's comfortable, because it's all about the one curling the ball. A great mobility exercise to warm up your hamstring is laying on your back and putting your leg in the 90-90 position. So 90-degree bend at the hip, 90-degree bend at the knees. Then what you're going to do is you're going to keep your thigh vertical as you try and straighten your knee as best as you can. What you should feel is the stretch of the hamstring and the back of the leg. Because this is a mobility exercise, you want to be doing 1 to 2 sets of anywhere between 15 to 30 repetitions. This really helps to warm up the hamstring and giving it that extra elasticity before you start your exercises or before you start your strengthening or sports. As good as the eccentric and concentric loading is, we still need to train the plyometrics to help get the hamstrings used to those sudden quick speeds and forces. So doing a box jump with a quick rebound is really critical for getting the hamstrings used to that quick loading and unloading. Additionally, we can do a reverse lunge into a high knee drive with a little hop. This kind of helps replicate that sprinting or running motion where the hamstring is bent at the hips and extending with the quad straightening the knee. For both of these plyometric exercises, we want to be doing between 3 to 5 sets of somewhere between 3 to 8 repetitions because we're going for maximal power and speed. When adding these hamstring exercises to your routine, you want to be thinking that you're loading the hamstrings at least twice per week. So 2 separate times you're adding one of the exercises to work on. If you're filling out a full routine, you want to start with the warm-up, so like that supine 90-90 mobility. Then you want to go to your plyometric, the power-based one first, then your eccentric loading or your big compound movements such as the RDLs or the Stance RDL, and then your smaller isolated concentric movements like the exercise ball curl or a leg curl. That will help you with a good rhythm for your workouts. Doing these exercises will strengthen your hamstrings, but it's important to know there's a lot of different variables that can lead to a tear, such as nutrition, poor sleep, inadequate warm-up, previous injury to the area, consecutive games in a row, or sometimes things just happen. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment below of something that you'd be interested to see next. Tune in next time.